Dear students, this is Dr. Madhu Kamra again with a video lecture on reading skills. You all are familiar with what reading is, right? From your preschool days, you are initiated into reading. But then there are certain basics which makes reading all the more focused and makes you derive maximum profit if at all the features clubbed to it are practiced diligently. So, what is reading? Reading refers to the ability to understand information presented in black and white. It also helps a person to interact and gain meaning from written language. Now, there are two types of communication skills. The processes are receptive as well as productive. Receptive, when you listen to somebody or when you read something, you receive some amount of information. But you produce information when you speak or when you write, and this way you find that communication is facilitated. Now, reading in modern times is regarded as most enigmatic of language skills because it's much mysterious and at the same time diverse also, because one is open to individual kind of interpretation. So your interpretation may not match with that of your friend. Now, coming to what exactly it enables you, you'll find that reading helps you to deduce meaning out of a textbook or an assignment or article in a newspaper or a journal or various business documents. For example, when you buy a mobile, the brochure contains a lot of information regarding the operation of the tool. Now, coming to what it facilitates, you'll find that it is something that tells you what to do with the information that you have derived and when can that education or learning can be used and why is it important for you. So, coming to various kinds of reading strategies, you have now on your screen. First is skim, where you find that you make a quick run through the content which is there in black and white, and it helps you to have a quick idea of what the text contains. Then comes scan, which tells you what quick details it contains. So as you rush through the text, there are keywords which catch your attention and at the same time help you know as to what kind of information is contained in it. Next is KWL, which is again for much focused learning, well aimed learning, because it tells you what you need to know, what you wanted to know, and what you have learned. So this way, your reading process is made up of three segments where you approach a text strategically. Now, coming to skip, you'll find that this is a very consistent effort, and at times you'll find that you're faced with certain kinds of blockages. For example, borrowed word is there, maybe from a different source, maybe a Latin word or a Scandinavian word of which you're not familiar with the meaning, or there is a very ornamental word which you are not able to assess as to what does it imply within the context, and therefore you rush through it. Then comes your LHSK, which means learn through headings, then at the same time through subtitles and through keywords. So this helps you to build a complete image of what the text contains. Now, coming to summarize, you'll find that this is quick conceptualization after the reading of the text, maybe a thematic deducement of what it implies. Now, coming to learn affixes, you find that this helps you to enrich your vocab and at the same time also betters your pronunciation, because you know that affixes are not to be emphasized, and you look for syllables which can carry primary or secondary stresses as the need be or as the nature of the word fashions at that time. Now, students, you have on your screen reading techniques. You have extensive mode of reading and intensive mode of reading. Now, extensive is when you adopt a strategy called skimming, which is the process of reading only key ideas, or as you say, main ideas, and you focus on sentences and paragraphs and not much on words. So this kind of reading helps in general understanding of a text. For example, when you read a kind of a comprehension passage, or maybe when you read a newspaper article which is of less worth to you. So this kind of a reading is also called wide reading. Now coming to the other part of it, which is intensive reading, you find that you adopt the strategy which is called scan. Now here you find that your focus is very minutely aimed at every small details. It is much like X-raying or screening the text for immediate information and also for key concepts or key ideas. That is why it is also called zoom lens strategy or narrow reading. Now coming to the 5 pillars of reading skills, you now have it on your screen: phonics, vocabulary, decoding, fluency, and reading comprehension. Now phonics you find is the first stage by which you are introduced to the learning of a language, and here you find that you start recognizing various sounds with letters, and then at the same time you start mapping through images as to what does it imply. So here the process of encoding information through familiarity with words and sounds is the first step. Now the second step is vocabulary, where you find that a good vocabulary is your aim, because that is most fundamental part of any academic success. And here you find that you start understanding the meaning of words, then the definitions, and also the contextual usage of those words with which you have gained familiarity. Now coming to the third stage, that is decoding. You find that this again depends upon whether you are familiar with the words or not, whether you are familiar with the phonic awareness or not. So when you hear a word, immediately you can conjure the image, or you can relate to a particular instance or to an abstract idea, and thereby derive meaning out of it. So this is the receptive part of it, which makes the step important in learning a language. Now coming to the next one, this is fluency, where you find that you read smoothly and you also maintain the tonal pattern, and you know how words are to be stressed, and at the same time you also become well versed in what kind of sentences you are using, and thereby, because of the proper use of language, you are able to convey meaning intelligently to the hearer, and you also learn to derive meaning to what is addressed to you, and this also is a part of your language intelligence. Now the last one is reading comprehension. This is a complex skill because it requires time and a consistent practice to develop fully how to understand the meaning of the text, both in terms of storybooks and informations, and you'll find that at times you have to also read in between lines, and this is how you understand now most of the topics and the concepts which are brought to your learning or to your knowledge, or you yourself pick it up to read. Now students, you have on your screen components of reading. The first is title. You're all familiar with it. This tells you in plain terms what the subject matter would be all about. Second comes your caption. Caption commonly you find appears for digital learning, where you find that captions are there for pictures, and it commonly helps the viewers to understand as to what is being added and informed. Now captions are designed for those who cannot hear audio which is contained in the text, and they are merely watching the video, and captions you find they help in making them read as to what does the picture say. Now coming to the heading, you'll find that this is something which commonly comes in an article or a research paper or in a textbook, where you'll find that the information which is contained is divided into sections, and the heading tells you as to what is contained here. For example, it could be introduction, it could be body, it could be conclusion. So here you come to know as to what would be the nature of information that is stored there. And now coming to subheading, you find that it is primarily to translate spoken audio into a language which helps a viewer to understand. For example, if you're watching a Hindi film and you're not well versed with Hindi language, you can read the English captions and thereby construct what is being shown through images and through dialogues. Now, the last component is a paragraph, which helps you to measure the structure of the information which is contained, and at the same time, through the collection of the paragraphs, you'll find that the reading information is given a formal shape. Now let us see what are the reading categories. You have it on your screen. You have the fictional content and the non-fictional content. Fictional, you find, contains imaginary events. It describes people, short stories or novels, and they are commonly seen in the form of classics, crime and mystery stories, fantasy, horror stories. Then you have literary fiction, you have popular fiction. Then there are romances, science fiction, fiction, which are primarily meant for a young adult or crossover age, or children's literature or women's fiction. Then the other is non-fiction, where you find that comedy facts are introduced to you, or it could be real events, or it could be the description of real people, such as the one which is recorded in the form of history or biography. So you have writings in the form of art and crafts, autobiography, biography, cooking books, then books related to gardening, or books related to history. Then it could be how-to books or memoirs. It could be science details also, self-help books, or could be pep literature, and then something related to technology or travelogues. Now coming to what is the importance of reading. First of all, you know that reading betters your communication skills. You find that you're better equipped in terms of raising a subject, or maybe detailing what you have seen, or describing something that you're going through, or at times you find that you try to project your perspective. So this is how it betters your oratory skills, because by communicating you keep on picking up new words, you learn its usage, and at the same time you master the style and flow of good speech. Second is shaping yourself or upgrading yourself. So books, you'll find, they are portals to newer worlds. They help to broaden your perspective, shapes your attitude towards others and to your own self, and also structures your identity. And that is why you find at times you come across people who read a passage and they say that this is primarily the style of this person. Let me also remind you that when you read newspapers, for example, Times, you can demarcate it from the Hindu or the Hindustan Times, because they have a different way of projecting information, putting it in a different style, in different stock of words. So by looking at it, or by going through it, by reading it, by skimming through it, by scanning it, you can immediately make it out as to whose style is it. So this way it becomes your style marker. Now, becoming a well-read individual, becoming a ready wit. So reading helps you to become quick-witted. It gives you a lot of wisdom, and it also evolves your understanding of the world. That is why you find that Bacon in his Essays says that when you read a lot, you become a ready man, because you are very well informed and you know what is happening, how it is happening, where it is happening, And at the same time, you can also give the opinions of the masters that you have come across. And finally, it peps you up. How? Because by reading, you are transported into a world which elevates your mood. At the same time, it recycles your affected spirits when you are in a bad mood. And at the same time, it also helps you to improve your energy level. So, pep literature you'll find is highly energizing. Now that you have completed a good lot of reading, what are the tests which are required in order to assess whether you have read your reading stuff properly or not? So, first of all, try to recapitulate what the text has given you as an information. What is the main idea which is contained there? So, try to summarize it and then try to visualize where those details are put, because this is something that will help you in connecting the information in a proper method and in a proper hierarchy also. Then try to understand what more does it imply, because there are a lot of inferences which have to be contemplated properly upon in order to derive. For example, if say you come across a sentence where a girl is described as a red rose, so there the inference is that she is very glowing in her complexion, she is beautiful. So these are the nuances of language that you need to master. Then at the same time, you have to make a guess what is in between lines, guess what the reading will be all about. We have started, and you can make a guess as to how the story would flow, what kind of information will come to me, and at the same time also make a guess of how the story would come to an end, because that is something which will make your reading more engaged. Then try to identify what kind of genre are you reading. Are you reading a science fiction? Are you reading a pep-up story? Or are you reading a ghost story? Is it a poem? Is it a prose? If it is a poem, whether it is an ode, whether it is an elegy, whether it is a mock epic poem or an epic, try to identify the style. And then at the same time, locate the keywords, because the keywords are those which would give you sufficient reasons to know as to what the text is all about. And then you can sort the information for finally saying that as to why did you like that particular reading stuff. The style was good, or the words were good, or the sentences were well structured. No matter what is the reason, but you should be aware of the reason that makes you either vote for reading stuff as good substance or reading stuff as something which is not of much worth. Now students, you have on your screen some digital resources which can better your reading speed and enhance your mode of deriving information in a more scientific and methodical way. For example, you can take up a Spreads or a Spreader or Beeline Reader or rewordify.com or Zap Reader. All of these, they aim at bettering your reading skill, enhancing your word power, and at the same time making you aware of the modern current usage. With this, students, I come to a close of this video. Hope you must have enjoyed it, and very soon I would be coming with a new video on more of communication skills. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you.